Vi har været en smut og kigge på Rage 2. Hej alle sammen, jeg er i Stockholm, Sverige hos Avalanche Studios, som er dem, der blandt andet står bag Just Cause 3 og Mad Max. Og de har så vist os et ikke så overraskende titel, da det allerede blev leaget for et par uger siden, netop Rage 2 i samarbejde med et software og udgivet af Bethesda. Rage 2 er mere vildere og mere aggressivt og mere crazier end forgængeren, og det kan man tydeligt se både på alle de pangfarver, der er blevet tilføjet, og det store arsenal af våben, plus de nye kræfter, som din karakter har, hvor man nærmest skal flyve og lave superhero landing lige over nogle fjender. Det er helt vildt. Og vi har blandt andet snakket med game directoren, som der fortæller om, hvordan de fandt sammen med et software og besluttede, at det nye Rage-spil skulle se sådan her ud. Og hvad er det for en verden, det kommer til at blive?
No, we took everything. We took it from the original Rage. We passed it through the filter of crazy and over the top. That takes, like everything goes through that filter, like the world itself, the characters who inhabits the world, the weapons, the cars, everything is just more exaggerated and bold. We, as Avalanche, has been talking to a lot of different publishers. We need to do that as an independent developer. We had been in contact with Bethesda for a long time. And then just all stars aligned. They came to us and said, hey guys, we've been talking so much about doing something together, and now the opportunity we see an opportunity here with the sequel to Rage. Me personally, and I think many with me here at Avalanche, was like, what, can we work with it? That would be awesome. So like, it was super fun to have that opportunity. And also we found out as soon as we started to like sharing ideas with each other, like had a similar view of what this game should be. So it was super easy to from the get-go and just work together with those guys. Both us at Avalanche and Id think the first game has a lot of great details in it, and like there's like obviously the shooting mechanics, the crazy enemies, the crazy stories, and the universe as a whole is absolutely worthy of a sequel, even though people haven't talked about it for a while. Just building on what they have in that game and making that more crazy, over the top again, like adding action moments. We have based a lot of the factions, as you see in this game, on factions that existed in that game. Just drawn out good material. One little detail that I felt that we had to keep in is Mutant Bash TV, like elements like that you don't see in many games, and we want to have that in our games.
Det var en meget kort demo, og man kunne virkelig tydeligt se, at det var en meget tidlig version af spillet, da det først kommer i 2019. Det var lidt buggy for mig, dog ikke for min makker Niklas, der fik prøvet. Men jeg kunne i hvert fald godt lide den måde, de udnyttede farverne, både på UI'en og på miljøet rundt omkring dig. Det var nemmere at kunne finde fjenderne, det var nemmere at finde ud af, hvad du sigtede med. Og når du egentlig gik i overdrive mode, så var det jo sindssygt flot og sindssygt fedt at se, hvor crazy egentlig hele verden så ud for dig. Altså lige pludselig, det var som om, at du havde fået LSD bare plantet op i hjernen. Og apropos farver og artstylen, så fik vi også en snak med art directoren, som der blandt andet fortalte, hvordan han egentlig fik inspirationen til at lave Rage 2's verden. Og hvad er det for en hovedperson, vi kommer til at møde i spillet, og hvad er hans baggrund?
Definitely the sort of 80s era European sci-fi comics is a big part, and I don't know if it just was part of the inks they used back then and trying to push and create something different and exciting, but there was a lot of influence there. But also really wanting to create a world full of meaningful variety, and how do you create variety in a way that someone, you can see in the gameplay trailer where we're just showing you this and this and this, and even though we're showing it so fast, people are still kind of, oh, did you see that? Did you see this? Did you see that? And a lot of that comes from shapes and forms and behaviors, but color is a big part of that as well. And on top of that, all of the factions and things you've seen relate heavily to the biome that they're from and the world and the part of the world where they are in. So each of those has their own unique palettes on top of that as well. Rage 2 is very much Rage at the next level, from the visual style to the first-person combat, the vehicular combat, this world and the variety you'll find within it. And so the nanotrites, which is that technology that's being used, was very present in Rage 1, but it wasn't quite tapped to the level that we wanted to. And I like to think that we have, our game has science powers. And so the nanotrites are nanotechnology that is inside certain people, specifically the archists, that were put underground for, intended to be quite a long time, and then playing through Rage, you realize they were brought up earlier than the time that they were necessarily supposed to, as the result of the actions of the hero from the first game. And then now, it's been about 30 years later, and you're playing someone who has those inside them. And so part of it is going out and finding and evolving yourself and the nanotrites inside you to give yourself access to different powers. So we have quite a few of them, and it really changes the way you interact with the world, move through the world, fight your enemies, the strategies you take, and everything. So Walker comes from a archist colony. So when the arcs came up from underground, there were ecopods that would come down from space. So the assumption was that there would be nothing left after the meteorite would hit. So we had to prepare ourselves as a species to survive. And in doing that, the humans and the knowledge would go down, and then the seeds and the genetics and the what do we call it? Like the materials to be able to survive would go up. So when those come down and then came up, you would try to bring them together, and the archists would come out and then try to find an ecopod, and then that would sort of be a place where they'd start. In Rage 2, you are in one of those colonies, so whereas Rage 2 does pick up where Rage 1 left off, it has been 30 years since that point, and your colony has been destroyed, and then you've been sort of pushed out into the world, and you get to start figuring out what's going on in this post-apokalyptic world that has started to sort of rebuild itself in a new way.
Og det var alt for Avalanche Studios. Jeg håber, I kunne lide videoen. Hvad er jeres holdning til Rage-serien? Er det noget, I har spillet? Er det noget, som I egentlig har fundet relevans at bringe til liv igen? Skriv det ned i kommentarfeltet. Og så ses vi selvfølgelig næste gang. Hej hej.